Hey there, Revive Your Nation. Coach Hudson here, bringing you day A of our mobility program. So this is going to be a focus on hamstring mobility today. We're going to start with a myofascial release with our lacrosse ball smash on our hamstrings, or you can use, I got a nice big softball here, either or, and then we're going to move into a little bit of active stretching with our band, and then finish with a little bit of strengthening of that muscle tissue in our hamstrings. So starting with that active release, I'm going to use my softball, that way you guys can really see it on the camera today. Feel free to use a lacrosse ball as well. The lacrosse ball is a little bit smaller and harder, so we'll be able to pinpoint certain parts of our tissue. This is a little bit more surface area, a little bit softer, so it's not going to be quite as deep and severe on our tissue. So starting with my softball, I'm going to place it underneath my hamstring. I want to make sure that my leg can dangle like so. Just a quick refresher, hamstrings are those muscles in the back of our leg. They're involved in extending the leg and extending at the knee. So these muscles back here, it's a group of tissue, a group of muscles, and we're going to be working on those. So with my softball, I'm going to start to lean forward, put in some pressure here on that softball. You should feel that, the tissue in the back of my leg. And then I'm going to start to extend my leg or straighten my leg and then relax it. I'll extend it and relax it. And I'm going to start to move that ball around. I can move around on it, putting pressure at different points. If I find a spot where it's really tense, I can work that out there, probably like 30 seconds or so, and just allow that tissue to release. What we're doing here is allowing our fascia, which is connective tissue underneath our skin, to unglue itself from our muscle tissue. So what happens is that connective tissue underneath our skin, it's really throughout our body, can sometimes start to adhere to our muscle tissue when we're not moving or moving correctly. And what happens is that lack of mobility, that adherence, keeps our muscles from moving properly. It can even pull us out of alignment. That often happens when our hamstrings become really tight and we're sitting a lot. And because it's pulling in an incorrect position, sitting all the time, what that does is it can pull on other tissues, and a lot of times, not necessarily the cause, but can contribute to lower back pain and discomfort. So by releasing our hamstrings, again, I'm spending about 3 minutes on one side, 3 minutes on the other side. I'll switch sides at this point. By releasing some of that tension, and releasing some of that fascia, some of that connective tissue, we can start to have a little bit of relief there in our hamstrings. So now that we've released our hamstrings, the tissues are sliding a little bit better, we're going to go into our stretching now. So I have a band. Feel free to use a towel if you're at home. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this band just around the mid-foot of my foot. I want to make sure that it's not on the toe. That way I'm stretching the proper parts of my leg. From here, I'm going to lie back and press my lower back into the ground. I'm going to have my other leg slightly bent. You can have it straight if possible, but the key thing here is I want my lower back pressed into the ground, belly nice and tight. From here, I'm going to have my legs slightly bent. I'm going to bring it in towards my chest, and then I'm going to squeeze my quads. That's that muscles on the front part of my leg. I'm going to straighten out my leg, and then I'll relax for a few seconds, 10 seconds or so, bring that foot over my head, straighten out my leg, pulling that foot farther over my head, and relax for a few seconds. And I'll continue to do this. Again, taking my time. We don't want to just force it right away, but letting that tissue relax in those different positions, those different ranges of motion. So now I have this tension in the lower part of my hamstring. The way we can kind of target certain parts of our hamstring, say you want to work on the tension you have in the higher part of your hamstring versus the lower part. So one thing I can do is I can bring my knee in towards my chest and then start to straighten my leg, and you should feel that tension here in the lower part versus having my leg straight and then bring it over my head. You probably feel a little bit more tension right underneath the knee. So again, really focusing on wherever you feel the most tension, allowing the muscle to release wherever it's tense for you. We'll do about 3 minutes per side. Now that we've released, we've stretched, we're going to do a little bit of strength doing a little bit of strength or movement in that new range of motion we've created will allow us to hit save on that mobility. That way we can be more mobile throughout the day. So for today's strength exercise for that hamstring, we're going to be doing a banded waiter's bow. If you're at home and don't have a band, you can just do a waiter's bow without it. I'm going to step through my band. I have a nice light band today, just about hip level. I'm going to put that band in my hip crease, take a few steps forward, got some tension going on. From here, I'm going to have my feet underneath my hips, belly nice and tight. I'm going to squeeze my butt cheeks, my glute muscles, and then I'm going to start to push my hips back. Notice how my knees are slightly bent, but I'm not really bending them a lot. I'm mostly pushing my hips back as far as I can. You'll feel that band pull your hips back. That's good, because as we bring our hips back, we'll start to feel tension in those hamstrings. If you're not really feeling much tension there, just bring your hips up and back a little bit more. You should start to feel those hamstrings light up, and then we'll stand up nice and tall, squeezing my butt. Awesome. So we're going to do this 5 times really slow, keeping my chest up. I don't want my chest to sag. I want to keep it up, keep my belly tight. Awesome. 4. And then one more time. 5 times every minute on the minute for 5 minutes. So at the beginning of each minute, you'll perform this waiter's bow 5 times, and then spend the remainder of that time resting. That'll be 25 repetitions throughout that 5 minutes. Let us know how it goes, Revivers. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, enjoy day A of your